How are my favorite girls in the world doing? I am so excited. Like, we are back, baby. You know what I mean? With these weekly episodes, I think it's been such a long time. I have missed being able to drop in every week and just be able to share a little bit of my journey, be able to bring you along in that and feel like we're kind of like holding hands with each other, really like inspiring each other, hyping each other up to continue to grow and evolve and transform our lives and really like choose ourselves more and more as we continue to walk this path that is life, right? Not to sound like super philosophical, but I do feel like this has become such a kind of support system for me, like almost like a little bit of therapy, being able to talk here on a weekly basis where it's about the things that I'm learning, whether it's sharing a little bit of, my soul and my vulnerability, or whether it's just hyping you up. Like, it makes me feel so inspired and fulfilled and hyped up and kind of ready to continue on this journey. And so I hope that that's how you feel too. I hope that this can also be that support system for you, or at least like a hand that's holding you through this path. Because it is sometimes really challenging. It's such a roller coaster. Life can be so intense and confusing and overwhelming at times, and I think it's important to have people around you, systems around you that can really fucking support you, hold you, and guide you when needed. And that's kind of what I've been doing with therapy right now. Not just therapy, but therapy, my best friend, being in a membership where I'm learning to regulate my nervous system. I know I've talked about this in the last few episodes, but that support system has been really important. But with that, I've been recognizing a lot of bullshit in myself, and that's been really uncomfortable. Like, it's been a while since I've done shadow work like I'm doing now, since I have acknowledged certain things in myself, or certain things about my ego, or certain things about my coping mechanisms. But I was just really feeling like this year brought a lot of challenges my way, and that really shut me down. I feel like I started wanting to hide and I started wanting to run away, not literally, but in the sense of like all the dreams that I was starting to put out there, all the things that I was desiring for myself. I just felt like completely isolating myself, like coming back to my cave, coming out of my cage. Okay. Coming back to a little cave, hibernate, and basically like distance myself from everyone and everything, and from the world, and from taking action. And I just really, yeah, hid away because it was so overwhelming to my nervous system that I completely shut down. Like, I went into complete freeze mode and I couldn't move. I wanted to, and sometimes I didn't want to anymore, but when I did want to, it felt like I was super anxious, but then completely unable to move. And then there were other moments where I was just like so overwhelmed that I was feeling completely numb and like with zero capacity to like hold anything, to hold my friends, to speak to people, to show up for my business. Like, everything was just feeling really fucking hard. And it hasn't felt that way in a long time, which is kind of a signal. It's a good sign, although it's hard, but I do feel like it's a good sign. And it's telling me like, you are really going deep right now, and you're really like opening the doors to like your old wounds. And so a lot of shit is going to come through right now. And that's what this year has been for me, like just a lot of stuff coming through repeatedly, like time and time again, because I am acknowledging certain aspects of myself that I wasn't for a long, long time. Coming back to that depth of shadow work has been really challenging and uncomfortable. But what I'm realizing is that I don't want to hide away like from that process. I don't want to show up here just when I'm feeling hyped, and just when I'm feeling like 100%, just when I'm feeling like where I'm at emotionally, spiritually, mentally is good enough, right? Like, I just really want to speak my truth and show you the process, because isn't that what we all need? To feel like we're not alone in this journey, to feel like we're not fucking crazy or broken or doomed because someone else that maybe we admire, or someone else that, we look up to, someone else that we see ourselves in, is also going through the things that we are going through. And I want this space to be that space as well. So, with that being said, I just feel like that was one of the things that I really learned with taking the 3-month break, is that I was trying to hide from my own truth, and I was trying to kind of filter that away from my brand and my business because it felt like it was not good enough for it. Because when you want to inspire others, in your brain logically, it's like, why would I share like the stories that are sad, or why would I share like the messy bits that I don't even understand? Like, how can I share that from an empowered place? And I didn't know how, right? But mainly because I was really rejecting those parts of myself, and I'm just really learning to open up to those so that I can come here to the podcast, to this show, and share it how it truly is, right? So that's a little introduction for you, but what I really wanted to reflect on today is the power of what and who you surround yourself with. I feel like that's kind of I was thinking, I kept thinking like, what the fuck am I gonna talk about today? Like, I feel like there's nothing coming through, and I always freak out a little when I don't have a specific theme, which is a lot of the times, but still I sometimes freak out about it because some moments in my life, I feel like I'm learning a lot of things, so it's easy for me to just like talk about something because I'm learning it or I'm like going through it, and it feels really alive for me. But other moments, I feel like I'm still kind of like navigating a lot of things and nothing is specifically like wanting to be talked about. But at the same time, I didn't feel like forcing a topic for today. And then I came across this thought of, actually yesterday I was doing therapy, and one of the things that I talked about with my therapist, one of the things that I have been realizing is just how impactful the environment that I've been surrounded by has been to like my emotional state, my well-being, and just how important this new chapter for me of moving out is going to be. And to give you a little context, I have always been really scared of moving out or not being able to. Um, Actually, I've always wanted to move out since I can remember. Like, I've always really wanted my independence, my freedom. That's always been like a big value of mine. And I mean, there's a reason why I do the work that I do. And there's a reason why I want to work online, because I want to travel the world and I want to be able to like have freedom in like every way that I can. But one of the things that I've noticed is that I've always wanted to like move abroad and explore the world and, like live on my own because I do like that independence. And I'm in this chapter of my life where I've been kind of, warming up to that slowly and putting my life, or kind of like adjusting my life to making that a reality, which hasn't been easy because it has meant that I need to face certain fears about becoming an adult and about taking up responsibility and about money and about, all these different things that are very scary to me. Some of them I'm already kind of, feeling more um comfortable with, but other things I'm still like pretty much panicking about. And so I knew I needed support for this chapter of my life because I understand that I want like a specific change, or I want to start moving like forward, and I was feeling really stuck. But I knew that it wasn't because of circumstances, and I knew it wasn't because, the universe hates me. Like, with the level of awareness that you get to at a certain degree, like, okay, I can't blame anyone, and it's no one else's responsibility but my own that I am stuck here right now, and that I am somewhere I don't want to be in, that I'm somewhere that doesn't feel good. Like, we are responsible for that. And it's not to like guilt trip ourselves, it's not to shame ourselves for where we are, but really like taking back our powers so that we can move forward towards our dreams, towards what feels in alignment with us, towards our authenticity, towards our purpose, towards, our mission, whatever it is. But I just feel like that was really important for me to understand. Like, you know, I am stuck and I don't have anyone else to blame. Well, I don't want to blame myself, but I can't point fingers. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I can't point fingers. Like, I know I'm holding myself back. Like, that's the thing. When you are stuck, it's not like something else. It's you holding yourself back because you are scared of what moving forward means. You are scared of what you're going to have to face on the other side of your comfort zone, of the other on the other side of what you know, on the other side of what you're familiar with. that's when all your fears are like kind of there waiting for you, and you're so terrified of having to face them that you hold back, that you kind of retrieve, that you go back to your old ways, that you start going into a little bit of self destruction mode or self sabotage, and you start doing things unconsciously mostly, but on purpose, so that you don't move towards that unknown, so that you don't move towards what you really want. And I was finding myself there. So what I realized is like, okay, I can't do this on my own. I cannot do this on my own anymore. And I wanted to, because again, I'm an independent bitch and I like to do things on my own. I like to figure it out. I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't like people trying to help me figure things out, because it seems that, my brain is way too complex, and when people think they know what I want, most of the times it's actually not accurate, or it might be similar, it might be really close, but it's still going on attendant. And I've just noticed that I have like, a lot of singularities about me. And so I wasn't looking for support in order to look for answers in other people. I wasn't looking for other people to save me. I wasn't looking for other people to like, give me all the answers and just figure it out for me. But what I did understand is like the support that I'm needing right now is the tools and like a system that helps me continuing to go towards discomfort without like freaking out and coming back to, point zero, because that's what I kept doing. This is a pattern that I started noticing in my life. Like anytime I go a little further into change, a little further into empowerment, I freak the fuck out and I retrieve. Like I literally like, it's just like what's it called? Like a rubber band, like you pull it so much that when you let it loose, it goes back so fucking fast. Like that was me. I was just like stretching and stretching and stretching, and then like really like forcing myself, but then not regulating myself, then not really, facing my fears, just like trying to ignore it all, trying to like hide away from them, pretend they weren't there. And because I wasn't acknowledging them, it was just like putting me on overdrive to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. And so I would come back. Um, and this is something that I noticed I was doing over and over and over again, especially in my business. And so I knew I needed support, and I asked for I started paying for therapy. I started paying for my membership. I started sharing more with my best friend, which was also hard because although we are always there to support each other, we were on very different paths at this point. And I noticed that I was feeling a bit scared of sharing these things with her when she was on such a high and she was just like really vibing with her life. And it felt from my point of view that everything was kind of working out for her. And I felt like everything was falling apart for me. And it was hard for me to tell myself like it's okay, like you still get to share, like you're still enough, you're not being too much just because you're going through it right now. If it was the other way around, you would be there for her. So I just really had to remind myself like I am still lovable, I'm still worthy, um I'm still enough, and I'm still worthy of being seen and heard. And that applied to my relationships just as much as it applies to my business, clearly. And so I just started opening up. And as you open up, because that's the thing, we're never expecting that. Like, but you kind of think that you're going to open a door to, your traumas or your past, and that's it. Like, oh, I'm healed. Like, no, you open that door and suddenly everything starts just like coming through, and it almost feels like it's a never ending pit, like pitless pit, is that how you say it? It's just a never ending black hole of like shit just coming through, and it feels like you're being bombarded with old traumas, old wounds, beliefs, all your fears, all the like existential questions you've ever had. Like suddenly everything is there, and it's so fucking scary and also annoying, because you're like, I want to move forward, I want to be in positive mode, and you just can't, because you can't ignore it anymore. And that's a good thing, but it can feel really frustrating when you're not in acceptance, or you don't understand like this is actually a normal part of the process, that when you open the door to your healing, a lot of shit is going to come through, and it's going to be really uncomfortable, and it's going to feel like you're taking like many steps back before you step forward fully. And that is normal, because you're actually like, as you're taking those steps back, you're actually gaining momentum to move forward faster and to move forward in like alignment, so that you can fully align with the right timeline that genuinely will take you further. That's how I felt in my relationship. It took me the longest time to fully break up. I went back into really old fucking trauma and pain, and I thought, like, what the fuck? Like, I feel as broken as I did at that time, and it really does feel like you're not progressing. And then at some point, you finally, like, break that cycle, or you finally, face that enough that it stops holding you back, it stops having a hold on you, and suddenly, like, you jump forward, like, 10 buildings, you know what I mean? So that's you, like, you catapult forward. Catapult? Catap You know what I mean? Um, and so that has been, I just keep trying to remind myself that I've been here before and I've made it. I've been here before and I've made it. Like, like, I just keep trying to remind myself of that. I've been here before and I've made it. I'm capable of, like, facing these things. I'm capable of um acknowledging these things. I'm gonna figure it out. I always do. I always make it out. I always, like, figure it out on the end. I always bounce back. I always come back with more clarity. I just try to remember that because it has happened before. And I actually, like, I've been doing this exercise, and if you journal, if you've been journaling for a while, if you don't, please start doing that. I'm not saying that you should journal every day, but I do think that journaling can be really supportive, and it kind of gives you a way to backtrack your progress so that you can, like, go back, like, maybe a year back or a few months back or even 2 years back and see where you were and just see just how much you have grown since then, just how much clarity you've had on the things that felt like, oh my God, I'm never getting out of this place, and now you're like, oh, I got out of that. I got out of there. So if I got out of there, it means that I can get out of this now, right? Like, I think that really helps you get perspective and just, like, stay faith like in faith, stay in hope that things are going to work out for you, because they do. Like, historically speaking, since you were born, they just do. Even when they're the messiest they've ever been, eventually you always, overcome that moment. And so you have that proof, and it's been really important for me. I was really, like, reading my journal from 2021, which, what the fuck? I'm so glad that I started journaling back then, because so many crazy passages that I was reading, I was just like, shit. Like, I can't believe I was so stressed about life, and especially about my relationship, and not really understanding, like, why do I need to break up? I don't want to, but I want to, but I blah, blah. And just, I remember I literally was reading this yesterday. There's a part where I say, like, I hope I can figure this out. Like, I can't wait for the day I have all the answers, something like that. And I was reading it, and I was just like, I got the answers, like, I got the answers. And that's what I'm trying to remember right now. Like, I'm going to get the answers, because I always do. And you don't have to sit back and wait for the answers to come to you. That's something that I was, like, really called out on this year, because I was just so scared of making any move. I was so scared of taking any action that I was, like, holding back from making any decisions, from, like, setting any vision, from setting any intentions, because I was like, I'm scared that it's the wrong intention. I'm scared that it's out of alignment. I'm scared that nothing is good enough, right? And what I realized is, like, I'm not going to be able to find answers, like, standing here and not doing anything. I need to move. And so creating movement creates momentum. And that's something that you really need. Like, I'm not saying take every action, do everything. No, but definitely take action towards things that you do have some clarity on. Like, take action on the things that bring you joy. Take action on the things that make you feel more inspired. Take actions on how you take care of yourself on a daily basis. Like, those small steps build up, and then they create momentum. They build you up from the inside. They strengthen you, and they allow you to then, when it's for the really big themes in your life, they allow you to take bigger steps. They allow you to finally, like, invoke almost that action that you need in order to get out of that rut, get out of that, like, stuckness that you're feeling, or stagnancy that you might be having in your life, get it, like, overcoming that block. And I think that's the most powerful thing. But you don't do that by, like, taking one giant step when you haven't taken any, like, it's a combination, it's a compilation, I should say. It's a compilation of many tiny steps that you take throughout like a period of your life, throughout a period of time, and it then builds into like a giant step, right? So I think that that's something I was really holding back from because I was so scared of making the wrong decisions. And one of the things that I've been working on therapy, that I've been working with my, my best friend, because we're always going back and forth with these things, like the biggest theme has been like, how can I take action right now? Even if it's small, how can I like follow my joy, follow the things that inspire me right now without having all the answers, without knowing where I go next? And that can feel like the scariest thing ever because you don't want to make a mistake. You want to live your dream life. You want to do things that, excite you. You don't want to get disappointed, I guess. And you hold such high expectations, maybe, of what you should create for yourself, or you see how other people are living this like amazing life and you want that for yourself too, which is not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing to want something great for yourself. I think it's beautiful that you recognize, actually, like, I want more than my family had. I want more than what I grew up around. I want to believe in myself, and I want to do things that I'm passionate about. I want a life full of meaning, but I think a lot of the times we look for meaning externally and we stop realizing that like we're the ones giving meaning to life, not life giving meaning to us. And so what I really understood was I just need to follow what feels good right now, not as in like, oh, let's get high and drunk every day. Like not that type of feels good. I just need to follow what feels good to my heart and soul, and I'm just going to follow that blindly. And wherever it leads me, wherever it takes me, it's going to move me forward towards that alignment. Even if it makes zero logical sense to everyone else, that's something that I really have been having to make my peace with. And I haven't yet. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's so hard for me to accept that I'm living this unconventional life and that the rules that apply to the people I grew up around, like, those are not the rules that apply to me. Those have never been the rules that have made sense to me, and for a reason, because they've never really been aligned with my truth, with my authenticity, with my soul's path. But that is terrifying, because then it's like, what do I follow? What guidelines, what rules, what like path am I supposed to follow? And it feels so scary to move towards the unknown that you kind of just hold back. And that's where I've been. I was holding back. I was completely frozen and shut down, and I knew I needed support. But what I also realized is the importance of the context that I was in this year. Because I've told you before, but this year has been probably one of the hardest years. A lot of things changed in my life. A lot of new variables, and a lot of new variables suddenly walked into my life, walked into my universe and my existence. And it was really hard to navigate all of it. Like, suddenly my brother was home. Suddenly this was happening and that was happening. And I wanted to move out and I wanted to make money. And all of it together was just like a hurricane in my life, and everything went to shit. And I was just terrified because I was like, can I start rebuilding, or is a hurricane gonna come out again? This is so interesting. I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but I think that's exactly how I felt. It's like, can I start rebuilding now? Can I start like picturing what this house gets to look like again? Or when I start building, will like something else come up and completely tear this down? And I was so scared of like wasting my tools, or wasting my resources on something that actually was just not going to work out anyways, that I was just like, maybe I'm just going to pause here and like see what happens, right? It was not helpful at all. But it just really helped me reflect on how important it is to be in an environment that helps you and that elevates you, and just how like crucial it can be, depending on your age, to move out and start doing your own thing, and like finding that independence. I've been talking about this with my therapist, and what I realized was like, this is actually the first step. It's to find that independence. It's to move out so that I can have my own bubble again, so that I can be surrounded by my own essence, because there's been so much noise around me that like it's been hard to connect with my voice. It's been hard to connect with like my truth and what feels real to me, because I'm so like, I'm just considering everything else, and I'm considering all these other voices that aren't actually mine. And some of those come from my fear and wanting to like protect myself. So like, oh, better listen to this and this and this and this and this. Maybe they're right, so maybe you shouldn't move, right? So it's like a way of self-protecting, but it ends up holding me back. And that's something that I really needed to like look at. Like, shit, I'm fooling myself with these stories. I'm fooling myself with these narratives. Like, I am just so scared in a way that I haven't been in a really long fucking time. And it was hard, and it still is hard to fully accept that, because considering that a lot of what I do stems from hyping other people up and wanting to inspire them, it felt even worse to feel so much fear. Like, I wanted to like push it away and pretend it wasn't there, but it just kept literally, like, in ways that I wasn't noticing because I didn't want to notice, but it kept holding me back. It kept consuming me until I just felt like I wasn't myself. And that has felt like the worst thing ever, honestly. It felt like I just didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't feel like I was at home with myself, even if I was showing up to myself like I always do, because that has never stopped. Like, I keep taking care of myself. I meditate. I do this. I do that. Like, of course, sometimes I do it more than other times. I'm not perfect, and it depends on the seasons where I'm at. But I have been like the regular, the normal amount of consistency that I've always had since, since I started this journey. Um, but it just wasn't feeling like enough, because there was so much stuff going on a deeper level that I wasn't really looking at, that I wasn't acknowledging. And like, taking that away, trying to like ignore that was what was making me feel so disconnected to myself, and so like just lost, and feeling really paralyzed, and feeling like I had no like safety net, right? I just felt like I was like on a free fall. And everything felt like it was falling apart, and I was terrified, right? And something that I noticed is like, when I went to visit my best friend in the Netherlands for her wedding, which was so fucking special, it made me feel so good. Like, it took me a long time throughout that week to fully relax, but once I did, I just finally felt like I was myself again. I finally felt like, yeah, safe, relaxed, at home. I felt pleasure, and I felt excited, and I felt inspired in a way that I hadn't felt in like months. And then I came back, and I was just trying to catch that feeling again, like trying to find it somewhere. And what I realized is like, in the context where I'm at right now, I can look for that, and I can try to give myself that. But ultimately, I know the universe has been calling me to leave my house, to move out. And I have just been scared of doing it. I've been scared of taking that step. I have been scared of how that step is going to be taken, because I was just like overthinking it. Like, oh, but I need to get a job, and it has to be a specific job, and I don't want this type of job. And, I just kept like being consumed by thoughts, and over analyzing, and overthinking, and over worrying, but not really just finding a solution, not really like listening to what felt good. And suddenly I started listening to that more, and I am in the process of moving out. I'm going to move out in September. And I can't tell you a lot of details yet, because I want things to like be fully set in stone yet, like first. But what I realize is like, this feels good. This feels freeing. I feel like having my own space again, living quote unquote on my own, because it's not quite on my own, but I'm going to have, my own room. Um, which I don't have right now, because everyone has been in this house lately. But having my own room, having my own space, having my own little bubble again, I think that's going to feel so good to my heart. That's something that I need. I need to feel like home. Like, that's so important for all of us. Like, we need to feel like we have a place we can come back to at the end of the day, that we can rest, that we can, cry if we want to cry, and that we can punch pillows if we want to punch pillows, that we can sing and dance and walk naked or whatever, but to a certain extent, that we feel safe in being ourselves fully. Because when we don't have that space, it's so much harder to dive deeper. It's so much harder to see yourself, because you don't feel safe to like go that deep. And I've just felt really unsettled and ungrounded in this year, and I think that really didn't help with everything that was already going on. It didn't help me feel like secure or safe enough to like fully explore that shadow that was coming through. And so moving out is definitely such a big stepping stone for me. I really feel that I've been feeling it since the like ending of last year, since at the ending of 2024. And now it's like, yeah, this is the right step. And what I can tell you is like the people you surround yourself with, the environment that you're surrounded by, like that does fucking matter. If you're constantly with people who talk down on you, or people who are constantly fucking stressing, even if you don't resonate with that stress, it will stress you at some point because you're human and you feel that stress and you feel that agitation. And you're empathic enough that you start feeling it as well. And then you're like dysregulated, and then it's so much harder to like move through life and move through your challenges, because there are challenges already in our lives when we're like taking steps towards the things that we want. So if we already have that, like we really need to make sure that the system we're surrounded by can support that and not like tear us down even more. Whether that's like your parents and how much you share with them, whether that's the friends that you have and how safe you feel to like share about your dreams, but also share about, your doubts and your fears. Um, Whether that's like your routine, your job, like everything counts. And it can literally either tear you down or bring you up and remind you of what you're capable of, remind you of how good it gets to be, or remind you that you are worthy, that you're enough, that you're lovable, that you're amazing, all those things. And I think that is kind of my reflection for today. um I really felt like that was the biggest thing that came through after yesterday's therapy session. It was like, yeah, your environment counts so much. Like, it's so detrimental to the person that you become and to how well you are how well you navigate those challenges, how well you navigate, you know, maybe new dreams that you have, how well you take action and you move forward and you show up. Because I'm not saying it's like your environment's responsibility, but it does impact you, obviously. And what I realized is like, I know I can already feel like I'm gonna feel so different when I move out. I can already tell that it's gonna be a completely new energy and it's gonna be a new beginning for me. And I've been needing that and I've been wanting that. Um, because ultimately, how can you fully flourish into who you get to be in this lifetime, into who you're meant to be, into who you want to be? But how can you flourish into that if you are in an environment that completely, disrupts your soil and disrupts, like, imagine a plant, right? Imagine like a flower or whatever plant, and the plant has like all the potential to grow, all the potential to flourish, but you never water it, or you give it the wrong type of soil, or the completely opposite conditions of what it usually needs. Like, let's say it's a plant that doesn't need too much water and you're like constantly overpouring it with water, or let's say it's one that needs water every day and you never give it water, or it needs humidity and it's like in the driest fucking environment. Like, that counts. And if you're not able to flourish right now, obviously understand like where is my responsibility in that, but also understand like how is my environment contributing to this? Am I surrounding myself by the people that are gonna make me feel safe and supported and loved, that I can explore this? Because when you don't have that sense of home, when you don't have that sense of support, I I know it's harder to move and to take action because you already feel so like, you know, at bay, or you already feel so unsafe. I think we are downplaying on how important community is, how important what supports us is. Like, there's a reason why I don't only have friends and I have a therapist and I have like a membership with a coach. Like, there's a reason why, like, I talk to my friends and I share, like, there's a reason why I share here. Like, there's a reason why you don't just require one person and you kind of require a little village or a little tribe of your own, because that does support you and that's a human thing. And we can show up for ourselves to a certain degree, of course. Like, I love hugging myself, I love kissing myself, I love reminding myself that I'm safe, and I love soothing myself, but it doesn't make others soothing me less important. Does that make sense? Like, being able to soothe yourself and love yourself and show up for yourself doesn't take away from the importance of having other people do that for you too. Like, that is a level of well-being, social well-being, of emotional well-being that we also need as human beings. And so do not forget that. Don't just like ignore that and try to do it all on your own and try to be an independent bitch, because independence kills, like, kills momentum too. When you're trying to do it all on your own and figure it all out on your own, and just like push through all the people that are already like discouraging you, that are already not believing in you, that are already like so fear-based and so lack-based mentality, and you're like just trying to, it feels like you're fighting the world, it feels like you're up against everything and everyone, like, that will defeat you at some point. I feel like it will, even if you get the results that you want, I feel like that defeats you like internally. And maybe I'm wrong, but I have seen that happen. People that are very successful, but then they're like tired and completely like just like isolated, and they're struggling mentally, and like I also know that I don't want that for myself. And then there's the other thing of like, maybe you're doing well mentally and emotionally, but then you're not taking the action, and eventually that's going to catch up with you, and you're going to feel frustrated, and you're going to feel like you're not really living up to the things that you want to live up to. It doesn't mean that you have to like make your dreams come true in 2 fucking seconds, but it does mean that, like, when you are walking in your purpose, type of thing. When you're walking in alignment, because it feels a certain type of way. It feels good, it feels right, it feels real, it feels empowering even when it's scary, it feels inspiring even when it's terrifying, like, but you're walking and you know it, and there's just a certain knowing within you and your soul, right? And when you're not in that path, you might find like self-doubt or trouble or frustration, and that's when like something here isn't like doing its thing, and sometimes we have self-doubt when we're walking in alignment. I'm not saying that we don't have that, but it's like, that's why we need the support, so that we know, okay, whether I'm walking in alignment and I need to continue to support myself through that, or whether I'm completely out of alignment, things are not working out, I'm clearly doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing, or I am in spaces where I that are not helping me, or whatever it is. But like, when you recognize that, like, you still need the support to like have the courage to get the fuck out. I know that helped me get out of my 7-year relationship. I know that having friends where I was literally sending them 30-minute audios, dude. Like, seriously, 30-minute audios on WhatsApp multiple times a day, because I was struggling so much to understand myself, to understand my thoughts, to accept myself, to accept my thoughts. And I had a lot of people supporting me and like seeing me, and that made me feel less alone. And I had people that I leaned on, and I asked for help, and I had a therapist at the time as well. And all of those little things helped me find the courage within myself to do it. And the courage was mine. The courage was stored in me, but the support system, the environment that I was surrounded by helped me find that, helped me like self-source it. So I think both your internal environment as well as your external environment are relevant and important to your growth. And I think that's something we cannot overlook. Oh, my feet are so sore. Oh my god. I can't feel my foot. Always the same shit. But so that's something that I noticed. And especially with parents, I really want to talk about this, because I've had like clients in the past who are like really disconnected, or were feeling just lost or scared of making any moves in their lives, because really they weren't listening to themselves, and they were listening to their mom's or dad's fears and to what they believed in. Because growing up, we put so much faith in our parents, obviously. Like, they're the first humans we kind of like really come in contact with. They're the first humans we put like a lot of credit on. We believe in them, we trust them, because they have been the first people we know. And so we trust their discernment when they tell us something is right, something is wrong, even if we don't fully agree. But there's a part of us that like kind of accepts it, because we live under their rules, and they know better than us or whatever. Like, we put faith in them. And then when we grow up and we start realizing like, actually certain things here didn't make sense, and certain things that I was taught don't resonate with me, and certain things that I was taught are not things that I want to like bring with me to this next phase of my journey. Although you might have that rationally, on like a deeper level, you're still like fighting yourself. You know, you're still kind of like struggling to let those beliefs go. And so, one of the things that I really do want to kind of talk about is how important it is to then be able to walk away enough, separate yourself enough that you can make your own decisions and that you can become your own person. I find this in so many people. I'm not saying that I'm excluded from this group. I'm not. Um because I still notice how I start doubting myself every time my dad doubts a decision that I'm making, or questions like, is this like actually what you want to do? Or is this actually what's going to be best for you? You know, like every time he questions, it makes me question like 10 times more. And for so long, I struggled to like really trust the path I was being called towards, because the way I was taught was like the opposite. Like the path that I'm choosing in my life was the path that was deemed wrong my entire life growing up. So stepping or defying that, um pushing through those old beliefs and telling myself no, like if this feels right, it's because it is right, that can be the most challenging thing. And I realize that I really need to separate myself, especially from my dad, because I think I've always had like a different connection with him. Like I've always wanted him to like acknowledge me more, be proud of me more. Or I don't know. I think I've always admired my dad a lot, and so there's always been this piece of me that wants his approval, that wants his validation, that wants him to like be proud of me or deem what I'm doing right, because yeah, I've always admired him. And when you admire someone, you want them to look at you and be like, what you're doing is amazing. And until they give you that validation, you feel like maybe you're not doing enough, right? But what I realized is like I need to create this like separation, because I need to become my own person. No matter how many mistakes I make along the way, no matter how much I screw up, but I need to learn in my way, because I feel like as long as I'm tethered, I think that's how you say it. As long as I'm tethered to this person, I'm not going to be able to fully discover what my authenticity would be like and how it would unfold. Like I just kept having this giant, I'm not saying that this voice is going to disappear once I'm not like physically living with my dad, but I do feel like it is going to give me a little bit more space to like find my own voice and find what resonates with me most. Because right now I feel like, you know, I'm dependent on him. I'm still like looking for him to approve of me. I'm still looking I'm still looking to prove myself right and prove them wrong when they didn't believe me, or when they thought maybe I wasn't doing the right things or whatever. Like I'm still thinking about how they think of me. I'm still thinking about their perspective of me. And as long as you're wondering how other people perceive your decisions, you're not really making decisions for yourself. Does that make sense? Like, as long as you're way too fucking worried about whether other people will deem your decisions as right, as wrong, or dumb, or stupid, irresponsible, or brilliant, as long as you're worried about them, you're not actually taking steps towards your authenticity. You're just trying to to like take away the possibility that it's going to be wrong, right? So you're thinking, you don't notice it, but you are kind of thinking it from like this moral lack mentality, or this like you're thinking based on fear, right? Like your default way of thinking is based on fear, when you're like, I wonder what they would say about this, or how they think, or blah blah. Like you're still looking to your life through their lenses, through their eyes. And that will never make sense, because they are not you and you are not them. And you're trying to evaluate your life's decisions, and you're trying to evaluate how worthy you are, or how valid you are, and how valid your choices are, based on people who mostly are living in a way that you don't even want. But you still admired them growing up, you still gave them your faith growing up, and so they still have that hold on you emotionally. Um, and you're still thinking about them and considering them, or at least considering their opinion with what you are doing, and that creates so much self-doubt in you. And that's when like you start kind of shaking a little, and then you're not like, you know, just going straight into your path. And that's what I noticed in myself. Like I was confused. I was scared of making a decision because I kept doubting myself a lot, and a lot of those self-doubt voices came from a voice that I remembered growing up with, and I just kept questioning my choices, and it made me not want to make any choices. Um but I also know deep down in my heart, like, I couldn't do the conventional path. I couldn't live like most people live. I just know that because I don't want to. I've never wanted it, ever. you know? I've always been someone who wants to explore, who wants to travel, who wants freedom and independence, not because I don't want to collaborate or because I don't want to, cooperate with other people or, like, create something together, but because, like, I want to use my free will, I guess that's what I'm saying. We don't use our free will enough, and we need to do it more, because our free will is literally our super fucking power, but it's also like what brings us the most fear, because to use our free will, we need to make decisions on our own. We need to trust our judgment. We need to trust ourselves enough to make the choices that we want to make, whatever other people think, whether they might have a say in it or not, whether they, think that's the dumbest decision ever, whether they think it's irresponsible, whether they think you're dreaming too high or aiming too high. Like, it doesn't fucking matter, because, yeah, free will is all about really trusting yourself. And yourself has a specific path to pave in this world, in this lifetime, and whatever. And and to, like, trust that is the most fucking powerful thing ever. But I think it's, at least for me, it has been the hardest journey as well, because it's been questioning everything that I grew up around. Every law, every rule, every, like, belief is just like continuously questioning those things, and continuing to, like, battle my old self with the person that I feel like I'm supposed to be or meant to be, not because of what other people tell me, but because of what I've always felt inside of me, and, like, the mission that I feel like I have towards myself, of, like, I want to give myself the best life ever. I want to experience life. I want to truly live. I've always known that. Like, seeing other people work 9 to 5s and growing up with people feel so stressed and frustrated, and, like, there was always drama and, like, just struggles around me, and knowing, like, this is not what I want for myself. This is not the life that I'm going to choose. There's definitely things that I'm not going to, like, mistakes that I'm not going to make, because I've seen them, and I don't want this for myself. But then a part of you almost wants to go exactly where they've been, because it's what you know, it's what's familiar, and it feels like it's right. Although your soul is like, this is absolutely not it, you know? Um, so yeah, I feel like I'm going a little bit in circles, and this is what I wanted to share a little bit today. I don't know if this was helpful or not, to be honest. I don't know. Definitely let me know. Not me looking for external validation, but I just felt like whatever came through in this episode needed to come through. Whatever I shared today was exactly what you guys needed to hear. And I just want to be real. I don't want to hide, and I don't want to pretend that I always know what the fuck is up, because I mostly don't. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning. Because I mostly don't. But what I do know is that I am still devoted to myself and to my life and to the life that I want to create. And I think when things are, all over the place, and when things feel like they're falling apart, I always remind myself, like, that is still my choice. And that is still the choice that I'm making. That is still, like, my promise to myself. Like, I've made that vow that I'm committed to myself, and to make sure that I live the best life I can, and to continue to choose what feels truly right for me, and continue to, like, honor my authenticity and my truest path, because I know that's where I'm going to find the fulfillment that I've always known I could find in this lifetime, right? And so in moments of doubt, in moments of fear, in moments where I feel lost, I just really remember that. And I remind myself over and over again, I've been here before and I've made it out. I've been here before and I've made it. I figured it out at the end. I always figure it out. and this is not the end, you know? This is not the end. This is not the end. We can make it, you know it, you know. So, yeah, that is it. Love you, girls.